I'm Kim Joy. I was on season 9 of the Great British Baking Show, and now I've got my book out, which is Baking with Kim Joy, which I'm very excited about. And today I'm going to show you how to do this snowy Christmas cake. So we're going to do all the buttercream and all the biscuit houses and all of that. I've got some flour in the bowl, so I'm just adding my spices. So I've got some ground ginger going in now, and then some ground cinnamon, make it really Christmassy. And so I just whisk that together so it's all combined. So we've got flour and spices in there. And then in here, it's just a bit of warm milk. And I'm going to add some bicarbonate of soda to that. And that, when I add it later, it'll help to make the cake rise because of the reaction. So just stir that in there and leave that for now. Just pop that there. Yep, so that's all combined. On the stove, we've got the butter, dark brown muscovado sugar, and molasses. So I'm going to pour it into the flour. It's very satisfying to do. I'll just use a spatula just to get a bit more out. So just get it all out of the pan. So you just stir it all together till it combines and it comes together as like a ball. It's really similar to a cake that I did on the Great British Baking Show. So yeah, it was one that got good reviews. So I thought, well, I'm going to put that in my book. It's not quite the same. I changed it a bit. And obviously I've changed the decoration as well. Yeah, so it all kind of clumps in the whisk at the moment, so I want to switch to using a spoon. Yeah, this will kind of come together as like a paste. It looks a bit like choux pastry because you add the flour to the wet ingredients. Just makes it really nice. Add the eggs. That's all the eggs and the batter all combined. So yeah, stem ginger. So I'll add that, and then, so this is the milk with the bicarbonate soda, so when I add it, I need to stir it quickly and then quickly get it into the pans, because the reaction starts happening, so you want to get it in the oven as quickly as possible. But it's always a bit slow to stir at first. Yeah, and it's quite a wet batter. I think that helps it stay really like moist and not dry once it's baked. I think like you read a lot of recipes and they're just like, oh, just put in a teaspoon of ground ginger, and I'm like, what? That's not enough. I need like 4 tablespoons. That looks good. It's all combined. So I've got baking tins. They're greased and the base is lined with some grease with paper. So yeah, you can weigh them so that they're all the same amount, but I'm just going to estimate. So the cakes are in the oven now, so just going to make the buttercream whilst they're baking. So doing American buttercream, so it's just butter and icing sugar. In the book you can use there's 2 options, so you can use the American buttercream or you can do the Italian meringue buttercream. So just that, I quite like the Italian meringue buttercream, but it takes a bit longer to make. So I've done 2 options just for in case you're in a rush. So this is a in a rush option, but it still tastes really good. So it's good. Yeah, so the butter's kind of like room temperature and kind of soft at the moment. Just means it's easier to whip. But if it's like fridge cold, you can either let it come to room temperature a little bit, or you can just whisk it for longer and it'll soften. Yeah. Add some of this. Maybe add at the stages just in case. You can add it all in one go. It's just it might kind of splatter a little bit. So get everything covered in a layer of icing sugar, which actually is quite festive, so that's fine. It's like kind of snowy. But yeah, you can just chuck it all in and then put like a tea towel on top to stop it going everywhere. That's why I do it on slow at first, just to get it kind of combined and then speed it up a little bit. See that? That's going everywhere. That's a demonstrated. Okay, I'll just stop that a second and add more. And then we're going to add a bit of milk just to make it a better consistency to spread on the cake. Okay, I'll just whisk that all up. So I'm just going to scrape down the sides just in case there's any like butter that's not really mixed properly. I think that's staying. Okay. You never know, like you're like, is it going to stay? Is it going to drop? And sometimes it drops and it's like, oh. It looks like a nice texture. I mean, it will change a bit as it gets a bit more whipped. Okay. Keep whipping. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. So just gonna add a little bit of food dye. Better to add a little bit rather than too much, then your colour's too strong. But as long as it kind of looks like a sky, kind of like a yellowy, bluey kind of colour. Yeah, the buttercream's like naturally a little bit yellow tinted, so it makes the blue a bit more yellow. I think that'd look nice. Yeah, so you can't really go wrong with the colour in it, because I like people with the book to do their own kind of things and twists on it. So if you wanted to do a nighttime cake, you could do like this really dark blue. So I've got the cakes all cooled. If you want to cut into the cake and have really even layers of buttercream, you probably want to level it, but yeah, if you're in a rush, you don't want to. I don't want to waste the cake, and I'll just eat all the bits I cut off anyway, so yeah. And you get a bit more height. The little layer will just stop it sliding whilst you're trying to do stuff. You can fill it with however much buttercream you want, really. Like different people like different amounts, but I always just put a bit because then it just squidges out the side. But you don't have to be neat with it because we're going to cover the edges anyway. So you kind of actually want it to go out the side. And then put your next layer on top, central, and then repeat. You do the same thing. Lessons that I learned in the tent. We had to learn a lot of new things, so it's not really like little lessons, but we had to like do things that I'd never done before, like temper chocolate, which is one of my least favourite things to do. But little tricks, I'm trying to think what are my little tricks. I just use the freezer a lot. I just use the freezer all the time, and I think I've kind of carried that to baking at home. Just, yeah, instead of putting in things in the fridge, I can put them in the freezer instead. Because I just like bake at home at my own time. I don't have to bake for anything in particular, or there's no expectations on me before I went on the show. But then when you go on the show, you've got a time limit, and yeah, so it's you've got to be much more organised with it, which I then took on, and I became more organised because I had to. So yeah, I used to have like lists of, say, like make this cake, be 20 minutes, do the buttercream, 30 minutes, and like whilst I'm doing this, multitask, and this bit takes 10 minutes of this 30 minutes, but then I've also got to do this other bit, which takes like, I've just got to remember it. But I'd have like lists of it, and that's how I kept calm, was I could keep track of everything. So just be very organised. But at home, I don't care. Yeah, kind of like, you just got to adapt. But it's really tough in there, and it's really hot. And yeah, it's just a lot of pressure because it's like your favourite hobby, and you're being judged about it, and you just want to impress and do your best. And yeah, well, before you go into a tent, you make a cake and everyone's like, oh, I love it, it's amazing. Then you go in the tent and then you get the judge and they're like, oh, I don't like that. And you're like, oh, nobody's ever told me that before. People usually just say they like it. And then you got the technicals, which I struggled with because I just couldn't plan for them at all. So I just would have no idea what's happening, and that would really stress me out. So I'm just going to do a crumb coat now. So it's just like a messy, thin coat just to trap all the crumbs in it. Because whilst I put it on, you'll get, well, some cakes are different. This one's not too crummy, but all the crumbs will basically get stuck in this layer. So yeah, you just smooth it on. Then afterwards I'll chill it, and then you add like a proper layer. But yeah, you can see like there's some crumbs on my spatula, but I don't want to put them back into the bowl because I want them to be nice. Yeah, so it's probably fine. So for this cake, I'm going to leave like a rough edge on top and then pop it in the fridge or freezer if you're in a rush. So the cake is chilling, and I've made these biscuits, which are gingerbread biscuits, and I'm going to decorate them like little houses so I'm making some royal icing. I'll whisk up the icing sugar and egg white, pop it in a piping bag, and then decorate these houses and make them look all festive. And you can decorate them however you want, really. Just make them look nice. I just taught myself how to decorate. It's probably about like 2 years before the baking show that I got into doing more cakes and decorating and more of that stuff. Yeah, you just learn by watching videos. So nobody in my family bakes, none of my friends bake, just me. So you kind of just learn on your own. That's why it's exciting to go on the show, because then you meet like all these other bakers, and then you can get really like talk about, you know, your favorite bread techniques and stuff. It's exciting for us. That's nice. It looks about right, yeah. So it kind of drops, but it doesn't spread immediately. It's holding. But I do want it quite stiff because I'm doing just like fine lines. I think that's what I'm going for. Sometimes I put it in the piping bag and I'm like, no, that's not quite right, and I have to take it out again. But it doesn't matter. It's just like trial and error and just keeping adding bits until it seems about right. I might add a tiny bit. Yeah, that seems fine. So I put it over a cup just because it makes it a bit easier. You don't need a lot. So that'll kind of be enough. Oh, there's quite a bit in there. Cool. So let's ice the biscuits. I don't use any piping nozzles. I just cut the end, less washing up. It's nicer. It's always better to cut it a little bit smaller than you might want it, because if you cut it too big, you just need to put it in your piping bag. But that's fine too. I usually spend a bit of time doing this, really. It's just about lifting the piping bag to let it flow. But you can take your time and ice whatever you want. I probably actually, to fill this bit, I'll probably use a piping bag with a bigger, but then this one's really good for the details. I usually just sit down on the sofa and do this whilst watching some TV. I mean, you can use the same piping bag to fill this, it's just, it's easier with a bigger opening to do this bit and then do the finer bits. And then you can use like a little toothpick just to even it out. You just want to use a stick and work with it whilst it's wet. Usually it sets slower, but if you've got air conditioning, it's going to be faster. So I've just noticed that. So it's like already it starts setting on the surface pretty quick. But this one's like quicker than normal. And then it takes a long time to fully set. Like I just leave it overnight to fully set. It's better. But because this is so fine, it'll set quicker. So you'll probably be able to pick it up and move it around pretty quick. Yeah, it's just about practicing. I quite like doing this kind of piping because you only have to do one colour. So the annoying thing about sometimes mixing up different colours and putting them in a piping bag. So you've just got one colour. Yeah, you can add more detail, but I might leave it at that. So the cake is chilled with its crumb coat, so all the crumbs are sealed in. So I'm going to add a second coat and kind of cover up where you can see the cake peeking through. So same buttercream, just pop it on the sides. So it'll just go on nicely. Try not to get it like too thick on the sides, so when I smooth it, it'll all thinner. So I'll just smooth it with this smoothing tool, and then there'll probably be some gaps that I need to fill in. I mean, I don't have to get the bottom edge really neat because we are covering it up. I leave the top edge like rough because it kind of looks like snow piled up, and it's just easier because like smoothing the top takes time, and it kind of looks nice and rustic, and then you can highlight it by painting it gold. You can do that later. I kind of like it when it's slightly rustic. And then you can get it really much neater by like heating this scraper a little bit. The metal's heated now, so we'll just smooth it. I mean, it's not totally smooth, but I actually think for this, it's quite nice. Just leave it like that. I can like spend this is the least time I've ever spent on doing the cake. Okay, I'm gonna smooth, no, let's leave it like that, looks good. So the cake's chilled again, and now get to do the fun bit, which is decorate with the trees and the houses and sprinkles and paint the gold edge. So I've got, well, there's 3 different ways to make these trees. So these ones are made with fondant in this mold. So you just like put some cornstarch and press the fondant into there and then bring it out, leave it to set a little bit so it's a bit firmer. And then these ones are made using like compound chocolate or candy melts, or which is in here. So you use like some green ones, it's really easy. You just pipe them onto a stick and then they set. That's it. And then the third way is you can make it with royal icing. So the same stuff that I did the biscuits with, except green. But the only thing with royal icing is it takes a while to set, so you need to leave them set overnight. But the compound chocolate ones are nice. But anyway, that's them. And then you can also like stick some sprinkles onto them. So I thought I'd do that bit. I mean, you can, like with the compound chocolate ones, you can do it whilst they're still wet and just stick it on, but I haven't done that. So you can add it on afterwards as well, whatever you want to do. So maybe a little bit of icing or like edible glue, something like that. Or you can just leave them plain. You can do that. Maybe I'll just put blobs. I mean, or you could just leave it like that, the little white. That's quite cute. I do want to give that one a star on top. Give it a little star, and then we've got like some spray, so you could do some a bit more silvery. That could be a silvery one. Maybe that one too. Yeah, you can decorate as many as you like or whatever you want to do and put them on the cake. So I'm going to set up some houses. We could put that one there. Just like press it sort of into the cake so it stays, but it should stay. If it leans or anything, you can put like a stick just to hold it up. It should be fine. Put this little cat here, just hanging out. Oh, actually, I might paint the gold edge now before it starts warming up. So, okay, I'll do that, and then I'll come back to that. You can do it with gold foil as well, like edible gold leaf, if you fancy. But this does really well. Ooh, I buy a lot of stuff online, and then like I go to Hobbycraft in the UK, but I don't think you have that here. But yeah, they've got a lot of food dye and like It's too good because it's like I have no space for it. So I don't know if it's good. I've got this like massive bucket box and it's just full of everything. Whenever I need to find something, I have to tip the whole thing out because there's no space in my kitchen. So it's not ideal. I'm just kind of dabbing that on. But the gold edge I really like because it kind of highlights the sort of bunching up of the buttercream on top. And it's also a lot easier to cover the cake if you don't blend in the top, but it looks better for this because it looks like snow. Snow just bundling. Yeah, it's looking nicer and festive already. Yeah, you want to put more buildings on there. I like to do the houses, but then do some trees. I don't know what, I think just do whatever feels right. But I like to do them like different heights so that you got some smaller ones, but then like these really tall ones are quite nice if you do them at the back. Just so you've got like, it feels more like a proper city, even there. You don't want to overload it, so you don't want to do like too many. So I quite like the space at the front. Put a tree in front of that one. There. Yeah, cute. Like this little tree. I'll put that one maybe there. I like the little cat there. It's cute. I might not add a lot more. You can kind of do a little path as well, like if you do a little path from that house coming out, you could do it with maybe these ones. You can do it with ice, like icing sugar as well. Yeah, I like that. That's cute. And then let's do, then we're going to do all the ones at the bottom as well. So kind of want like some tall trees like peeking out behind. Put that there. Which I want to give that a little star. Some decoration. House there. I think it's a really fun one to do because you can kind of make it your own. You can put the houses where you want. You don't have to, you could even make like little mini snowmen or little red berries. You can make like characters. You could put a little mini biscuit as your family or something. So it doesn't have to be, yeah, you can just do it, make it your own really. I'll put these in just like bits of snow. You don't want to be too firm when you put sprinkles in, but you don't want it to be, mostly just not too firm. I think when it's a bit softer, you kind of run the risk of smudging the icing, which I may do, but I think it's fine. That's what I kind of like about this cake, because it's a skyline, so it doesn't have to be like super neat. You can do this with tweezers as well. Might be a bit less likely to smudge stuff. Everywhere. I really like this spray. Super cool. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you give the cake a go because it's not too difficult. And my book, Baking with Kim Joy, is out now, so go and get it and find lots more exciting recipes. Bye.